Oh, we're live. We're
We're
transitioned in
live. Yeah,
already.
we're
Well,
here. Yeah.
all right. Well, welcome back, everybody. Got a little confused as to where we were going from there, but I'm Gordo. This is Borg. We're back for our second set of matches together and our first set of matches in the West Conference of the
Yeah.
day. Moving out west, how are you feeling about today's matches, Borg?
Um, I'm excited actually because the West, we're kind of talking about it a bit before, Gordo. Very, very close, right?
Oh yeah.
There's literally, I mean, it's probably going to come down to tiebreakers. We'll have to see how these games play out here, but there's going to be a lot of possible tiebreaker options going on depending on how these games go.
Yeah, definitely. And we're going to start things off with our first match here between ASOP's Little Pog Champs and Best Western. Both of these teams sitting in this crazy, or well, actually, ASOP's Little Pog Champs a little bit above it. They're sitting alone at second at a 3-2-1 scoreline. But Best Western, part of this bananas four-way tie for third at 2-2-2. Going to be really looking to make any little edge that they can find, and a win here for either team should secure them a spot in the playoffs, most likely. ASOPs can secure, Best Western can get themselves far better odds.
Yeah, I'm really excited for especially that ASOPs versus Best Western game because I feel like Best Western kind of early on had a pretty hard schedule and really weren't able to showcase kind of what they're actually capable of. But now that Wallaby's been in for a little while and he's kind of meshed with the team, even on a little bit of ping, but I think he's from Texas, so he doesn't really have to deal with the ping too much anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I think they've been looking incredible, especially with Walby and a lot of I mean, his KOs and I believe his goal score. I can't remember the stats off the top of my head. I probably should have pulled that up before we get started here. But regardless, he's been incredibly high up on the standings in terms of his stats with KOs and goals. And I think that he could probably carry them through this ASOS Pop Yanks game.
Definitely could here, and it looks like we're ready to get right into it here, so we can start things
But
off. Looks like it's going to be Atlas's Lab for the first match as we are getting loaded in here. Going to see what the bands are going to be. It looks like it's Deadeye and Peak Performance as the first Awakenings.
yeah, interesting. I'm excited to see if any of them will pick up Amy here. I'm not too sure. I could see Obscure Breads playing the Amy. I have seen him playing it recently. I'm not sure if Geek has an Amy. And oh wow, we're actually going to see a double Juliet ban. Definitely surprised about that, especially on Atlas Lab and given the starting Awakenings, But I guess they don't want Wallaby to have that. But then on the side of Best Western, they also banned it, so they didn't want JSS to have it. They're both scared of each other, I think. I don't really
Yeah,
know
a
what
little
that's
bit.
all about.
It really ends up being net even at the end of the day there. You're bringing up if Geek was going to be able to bring out an Amy or anything like that. Hasn't done it so far. Is going to go for the Kai. That's what they've been leaning towards on Atlas's Lab in more recent matches that they've played on it. They've been going for this, usually Juliet, but probably not going to get it here. Looks like they're going to sub that out for the Rune. But the Kai and Rasmus have been the big selections on this map for ASOP so far.
Yeah, Kai's a pretty good user of Deadeye as well, especially if you can get that specialized training. Those Giga Blasts are going to start hurting. So we'll have to see based on the drafts, what actually happens here. And we actually see slick kicks on both the forwards from ASOP's Pog Champs and Draining Wand, the Siphoning Wand, on the side of Best Western. So expect Wallaby and Zenith to be doing a lot more damage.
Yeah, definitely. Here is Geek going to be on the goalie Kai, going to push things up. It's going to be the Kai versus Kai matchup in the goal box, but let's see what the big difference is going to be between this Estelle and this Rune, as already one of the goal barriers gets taken down there by Best Western. They are going to successfully open things up, but now turning the aggression back on the other side, Gunner going to be able to pass it down over to JSS and going to look to try to open it up for the side of ASOP.
Yeah, I mean, we already see just the kill coming out from Wallaby. Great hook, great Rasmus special right there. And see if they can, on this power play, secure it here. I mean, we can see kind of coming in here that Zenith and Wallaby just having so much more pressure with the double Draining Wand and just not losing any health because of it.
Yeah, huge play by Gunner there. Going to be able to knock it away, going to be able to shift back, pass it to himself, and keep the goal safe using that unstable anomaly. Now passing it back over to JSS, but he's going to get taken off the map. Wallaby lands another huge death touch to be able to net the numbers advantage once again to the side of Best Western, and they want to close it out here, but going to get cleared out once again, and JSS going to be on the keeping interference duties. That's going to be Geek flipping it back over to the side, but now going to get a double banish here. Gunner back on the map, and they're going to be able to get the numbers advantage for themselves. JSS goes for the whiplash, but going to get knocked out by Wallaby Gangster, and there's knockouts on both sides, but nobody's able to close it out here.
Yeah, I mean, both goalies kind of holding it down here. Geek especially, with no goal barriers left, so he's really putting in a lot of work. Uses that core flip. He's now a little bit vulnerable here to Wallaby and Zenith, as he does not have that guaranteed core flip save. And just as I say it, the perfect Giga Blast on the gunner and the core hits it right into the bottom corner there.
Yeah, it ends up being the Kai that makes the difference with a well-placed special, going to be able to net that first goal to Best Western. Going to draw first blood in this matchup as we're going to take it in once again. Black Hole going to go down right away, but now just trying to push it up towards the top side is Wallaby Gangster, trying to get it down to Zenith. They're waiting for cooldowns. It's actually going to end up taking down a goal barrier down at the bottom, as Wallaby going to pass it up to himself, but going to end up losing an Estelle for his troubles, and now going to have to play defense here. Now going to miss the core flip while he's at it, so going to be really tough for them to sustain through this. It does end up opening up the goal. Geek going to pass it up to Gunner, down to JSS. Pendulum swing, but can't quite find it, and now going to be brought back over by Wallaby Gangster. Going to try to keep this drive back alive. Moving it back over to JSS, down once again, passed back up by Wallaby Gangster, and Zenith trying to use that range advantage, trying to use those piercing shots to get their way in towards that last goal barricade, going to knock off the middle, take out JSS. Probably not what Geek intended, and now going to be at that numbers disadvantage once again.
Yeah, and then great banish, as we saw early on, from the rune to get that early kill. But on that second banish, we saw Zenith adapt to it, block the second pillar so that Wallaby does not die from it. Just whips that core flip there as JSS finds a kill on Wallaby. So they have the power play here, and they have converted the power play earlier to get both the goal barriers. So we'll see if they have to actually get the goal here as they take away the gravity well in the middle. And Geek walking up, seeing they can put it away.
Yeah, just wanting to remove any variables that could introduce towards their pass play. They know that they can try to push it through with the numbers advantage, but doesn't end up working out. Now it's back to even Stevens. JSS going to be in charge of the top side here. Nearly gets taken out by the Giga Blast, but does keep himself just barely safe, and that's tons of damage on a Wallaby Gangster. Nearly taking him out, but will be able to sustain through it, and actually trades it back onto the side of ASOP, and now it's a numbers advantage for the side of Best Western. They have got themselves an opportunity to score. They've opened up the goal. Going to go down to Obscure Breads once again, just trying to knock JSS out of the way. Sustains through it, though, is going to be able to clear it out once again as the center point respawns, gets taken down by Zenith. Is going to be a nice block there from Obscure Breads, just trying to find one pass, one play, but JSS is there with a whiplash.
Yeah, and the kind of one thing we've been seeing almost all split is Wallaby and Zenith, managing to find those kills and get those kill confirms, but struggling to convert on a lot of these power plays. And we just saw right there, just a struggle to find it, holding it down from Geek, and then Breads as well, holding it down as long as he could, but JSS a great pendulum swing and a great secondary to find that kill, as we see another Rune Banish KO there.
Yeah, there's the Rune one-shot combo. Does end up finding it with the two setups there from the Unstable Anomaly, and now going to try to utilize this to open up the goal. Gunner going to get it sniped away from him by a nice piercing shot from Zenith, and that's actually going to take down a goal barrier with a numbers disadvantage. Now coming back down to Wallaby Gangster. Zenith still going to take plenty of damage here in this one-on-one up against JSS, and they're trying to find a way to make this goal open up, but returning plenty there as Obscure Breads just lands everything in the arsenal onto JSS. He gets shattered, is going to have to head back out and try to pick up some of these orbs, and that's going to give a little bit of an opening here for Zenith to pass it up to Wallaby Gangster. Gets banished away, though, might get taken out, just barely sustains through it and won't end up going down. But just as I say that, JSS looking to finish him off, and the core still getting passed back and forth over on the other side. Gunner trying to just fend it off, trying to receive these passes from Geek. It is going to be a fast-moving core, but gets flipped back over by Obscure Breads, and there's a double KO from the center. It's madness on the court here for game number one, as Geek going to pass things back over to Gunner. Going to go for the core flip, looking to get some interesting angles onto Obscure Breads, but so far can't find it.
Yeah, I mean, very crucial there. Off of that double KO, we see that Gunner and Geek able to find that last goal barrier off of Breads, so they're really at a disadvantage here, as we see another banished. Just messes it up. Zenith just able to survive there, and really it's just going to make a difference if Gunner can survive here or not to get that goal. And as I say it, gets the bottom corner. Breads did not have any abilities left in his kit, could not find that save. Very well played from Gunner to survive and find that angle there.
Yeah, it's a super straightforward goal. Ends up coming through. Gunner sees that he has the opportunity, and Obscure Breads just doesn't have the tools to deal with it. Now going to be a 2-1 lead. ASOP's Little Pog Champs on set point, going to look to take this one for themselves. So far, Geek has done a great job of using these barrages defensively, make sure that they are going to be able to get it back over to Gunner and JSS to be able to take over the offense. And so far, doing just that once again. Zenith, though, gets the double open. Nice job with the core flip there to get the goal exposed. And now Wallaby Gangster has a chance to throw it through. The Banish, though, will buy them some of those crucial moments and will get it back over to Obscure Breads. But he's ready to fend it off. He's ready to pass it over to Wallaby, who doesn't quite land the death touch, but does still have the opportunity to pull it back into his favor. JSS now in the middle of 3, still looking to play aggressively, but he's going to pay for it. Gets knocked out by Wallaby Gangster, and Gunner now going to be 1 versus 2, trying to defend here up with Geek. And so far is just a back and forth. Wallaby looking to score. We'll get it.
Yeah, Wallaby finding that angle with the primary to cover it just in case Geek was reaching it. But that round was pretty much the Zenith show. Got the KO onto JSS, onto that Rasmus. Got double barriers. Really just opened up the map very early and kept all the pressure on their side of the map.
For sure here is now double banish coming through for Gunner once again, going to get the KO to start things off in what is going to be match point for one side or the other. Playing up aggressively alongside JSS, so far not finding any goal barriers off the center. Geek actually going to end up almost giving one up there, but does manage to block it away with the barrage, and now Gunner passes it back up to himself. Going to be another clear from Geek, and going to be JSS not quite being able to knock it in his favor is going to take down one of those goal barricades.
Yeah, so 1 goal barrier down. Nothing too crazy going on. Zenith a little bit low on HP, but as the gravity well gets exploded there, Zenith definitely low. Gonna have to find that orb there. Looking to regen a little bit HP, waiting for his cooldowns. Wallaby kind of taking control of it here. And Breads with the core flip as well. I think their last goal barrier here is pretty secure, and Geek with no core flip. I mean, Zenith and Wallaby have got to find something here soon before they can get up that energy. As I say that, the death touch to him could not get it as he gets taken away a perfect room banish into the double pillar. And that was just another great play and another kill from Gunner.
And here's their chance to work through some of those defensive tools that Obscure Breads has. A nice placement of the Unstable Anomaly, going to very nearly take it down, and is at least going to force out the core flip as they're now generating energy back up. JSS going to be stepping forward, going to be trying to push them off the barrier, and going to try to open it up and threaten Obscure Breads while they have the opportunity. A nice shot towards it from Geek, going to get deflected away once again, and now a core flip coming through from Zenith, trying to open things up. A nice Unstable Anomaly to deflect it away, and now still going to be so much aggression coming through from the red side, and ASOP, they just so far have not been able to get it back over to this side. Obscure Breads has been playing some really solid defense.
Yeah, and one big thing that's kind of changed between that first couple rounds is actually, as we just saw there, the rune banishes and finding those KOs. Best Western just really struggling to actually get a lot of those KOs now, finding a lot of that damage. They really need to start looking towards the pressure as they have a quick little power play here, but not able to make use of it, and it goes back to even. However, there is still a goal barrier on the side of Best Western. This is their chance to win this first set.
Yeah, you got to watch out for those whiplashes coming through in the one-on-one up against Rasmus, but Wallaby Gangster just sneaks it right past Geek, and that's going to be the first set going over to Best Western.
Yeah, really contested set there. That was incredibly entertaining. Just an absolute roller coaster. Very long set as well. And as we kind of get into draft here, we'll see if anything can make a difference. I'm expecting the Kai to either take Glass Cannon or Stacks here, possibly deny the Cast to Last as well. Yep, denies the Cast to Last from the Ruin. Do not want those long banishes. The banish is already the issue. So does not want that. Takes the build different away from the Rasmus on the side of Wallaby Gangster there, and the Big Fish as well. So no size for the Rasmus there. Really, really smart on the ASOPs there to not let the Rasmus get any size. And then we trade Tempo Swing, Twin Drive, and Stacks. So nothing too crazy. Definitely very, very important draft. So no more size trainings on the board for any of these Rasmuses. So they're going to be about an even power level the rest of the game.
Yes, regular-sized Rasmus gaming to go forward as JSS going to get KO'd right away. Found a nice little angle onto the goal barrier, but is going to end up giving up his life for it. And now the knockback, that's going to be an opened-up goal super early for ASOP, and Best Western with a chance to capitalize on the numbers advantage. JSS does respawn in time, but Wallaby Gangster up here does have access to that whiplash, and Zenith looking for the shot, can't quite find it off the bottom wall, and Gunner just going to blink back away and turn this into a numbers advantage for ASOP. They want to try to get on the aggressive side of this matchup coming into this second set, and Zenith stepping forward, going to actually be able to knock it in. Best Western with another goal.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure what happened there. I think the Estelle primary off of the last second redirect on the fading rune pillar there just absolutely catapulted it in there, and then Geek with no abilities, and no one was ready for that one. I wasn't ready for that one. That was A little bit of a crazy goal there, as we see another KO, and Zenith and Wallaby actually finding what they need to find, getting those kills, getting that damage, and getting these power plays that they so crucially need to score these goals.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Best Western just continues to play with a numbers advantage for the majority of the time here, and Wallaby Gangsta almost gets it in there off the back of the big pendulum swing. Instead, going to get banished away, going to nearly get taken out, but will manage to survive without even getting staggered. Now passing back up to Zenith is Obscure Breads, and Gunner in this 1 versus 2 just taking a whole bunch of damage. Wallaby going to get staggered in the meanwhile, getting bullied around by Geek a little bit, but still managing to keep himself on the field, going to pass it down to himself. Now the knock up off the center. Zenith wants to knock it in, but can't quite find it off that Rose Warp. Again, Geek able to keep up the defense, and JSS going to get sniped down by the piercing shot, and that's going to be another one off the Unstable Anomaly for Best Western.
Yeah, that was actually really smart. Wallaby actually timing his abilities there so that if they hit, down, then he'd get that redirect back up, but they hit it straight into the rune pillar, and then unfortunate positioning there on Geek does not have the strike to finish it. Unfortunate pillar there as well. Definitely not exactly intended, I'd say. But as we get into the next set, we'll see if ASOP's little Pog Champs can claw their way back, as we see a perfect KO off that rune banish.
Yep, that's again the double pillar coming through, going to pillar giveth, pillar taketh away, and Gunner gonna try to make something happen here and get himself a little bit more than he bargained for. Now passing down over to JSS. That's gonna be Zenith managing to deflect it back away, but Geek up on the midfield going to try to play this aggressively and going to try to get the momentum back in the favor of ASOP's little Pog Champs. They are on the little set point here, and they do not want to end up giving it up 3-0. Are gonna manage to open up the goal, and now both members staggered. Will it be enough though? It's going to be a pass on over. JSS did have the death touch out there, doesn't end up getting to utilize it, and Geek still on the defense, but they've lost JSS. They are once again finding themselves 2 versus 3, and that's going to open up at least one of those goal barriers. The Banish Way comes through, and Gunner gets himself another KO.
And these banishes are just so crucial to ASOP's success here, as a perfect Giga Blast into the gravity wall actually gets that KO onto the rune, and Zenith probably gonna have to stall here, wait for Wallaby to come up. There he is, gets the second barrier as well. Great play, and now they have a quick little power play to keep pressure onto the enemy's court, onto ASOP's little Pog Champs. Zenith looking really low here, needs to be careful not to die. Wallaby has a lot of abilities up and needs to take advantage of them. Great hook by JSS, great pendulum swing of Obscure Breads, great save.
Yeah, and now Zenith going to be able to flip it back over. It goes over to Wallaby Gangsta, can't quite find it. And now JSS, he just knocks it in, just straight forward. Obscure Breads can't get to it in time.
Yeah, just went right under Zenith there on the south side of the court. And, I mean, Obscure Breads, no abilities. He just used all of them off on that last saving interaction on this side of the court. And, I mean, just great awareness to be there, right?
Yeah, for sure. Now, going to be a death touch from Wallaby to get the numbers in their favor, and they've already taken down one of the goal barriers while they're at it. Wallaby knocking it back over, and that's going to be elusive, used by Geek. They can't quite capitalize on it, but now going to be Gunner respawning back onto the map, trying to take it back over alongside JSS. The pendulum swing off the back and a knock Zenith to about half HP, and Geek once again up at midfield. They found a lot more success trying to take their goalie out of the box and trying to get him to make something a little more aggressive happen. That's how they've been able to score once, and they're going to look to try to make it happen again, opening up the goal here. But Wallaby back with control, tries to score, can't quite open it up. This is a big opportunity for ASOP to try to tie this set up and try to get themselves back in this match. Obscure going to knock it away. Geek going to knock it down. Back over to JSS. Can't quite find the whiplash angle. Gunner playing a little bit of pseudo goalie here just to try to keep the defense up. And JSS trying to knock it in. Core flip going to come through. Obscure Bread still getting pressured. Geek going to get knocked aside, but is still ready to knock it back up to his teammates. JSS can't quite knock it in, though. And it's going to get cleared back away by Best Western.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that we just haven't seen in the overtime here is Rune getting a critical banish and a KO, because as we've seen this whole round, they really have only gotten barriers and goals through this banish. As he gets one here, let's see if he can find the KO. Does not have that second pillar to get that KO, and now has no ability. So, I mean, Zenith and Wallaby really need to take advantage of this and start getting this more pressure onto the enemy side here. As the perfect hit, the great redirect from Geek off the wall into that gravity well, and then Gunner right there just to keep that momentum going. The core speed a little bit too fast there in overtime.
And now we're back at 2-2 set point for both teams. Best Western could take a 2-0 set lead here, or it could tie it all up for the side of ASOP's little Pog Champs. Game coming just as close as was promised. So much on the line for both of these teams. This is going to be a very important set to dictate how close this set is going to be, how close this match is going to be, and who is going to end up with the momentum in their favor. Now going to be Gunner stepping forward alongside JSS. They can't even get onto one of the barriers, though. Obscure Breads playing great defense, knocks it back away. Geek now has to play defense on just the one remaining barrier. Gunner does get a good banish, but he's going to cost him his life. Gets KO'd on the top side. Elusive now for JSS, trying to receive, but gets hit with a giant Giga Blast. And now Zenith just looking to receive from Obscure Breads, pass down to Wallaby Gangsta. The middle going to end up taking it out, though, and now it's a numbers advantage for ASOP's little Pog Champs while they've got the goal open.
Yeah, it is a numbers advantage. However, if they cannot convert this power play into a goal barrier and Obscure Breads holding it down, they do have both core flips. Now Zenith's back up. It's an open goal. So
yeah, the core flip
a chance there, as we see, perfect snipe there on the bottom corner from Wallaby. And yeah, I mean, as we've just been talking about and seeing, that pressure from Zenith and Wallaby is really just going to be the game decider here, and whether the Rune can actually find those kitless banishes or not, because that set, we didn't really see any Rune banishes there. Anything too crazy, so I don't know what you're thinking here, but this is looking a little dicey for ASOP's little Pog Champs.
Absolutely is. I mean, a 2-0 set lead here is huge for this red side team. I mean, Best Western, they want to be able to kind of make a big difference in these tiebreakers, and a big win over ASOP's little Pog Champs is just going to give them so much more in their favor. Winning in the first place is going to be huge. Going to knock ASOP's little Pog Champs back down into contention for, you know, possibly having some difficulties even making the playoffs here. This game is super important for them as well, and they're just kind of getting crushed in the first couple of rounds.
Yeah, and I mean, we'll have to see based on how the second game goes as well, or if they can swing it back and get a reverse sweep. But quick little touch on, as we see a quick KO into Wallaby, and while this kind of rally goes, actually everybody except for the Rasmuses took hot shot there. So we're going to see the core going very fast.
It is. It's going to be a speedy core, and the speedy cores have been some of the ways that these scores have ended up coming through. I mean, we've seen multiple goals where it just gets knocked right past the goalie. The reaction time's not quite there. This could end up making a huge difference with the hot shot enabled, as well as just not being able to get to it in time, as JSS moving forward, looking to score, throws out the death touch, doesn't land it, and now Wallaby Gangsta gonna have it knocked right past him. Gunner gonna be ready, but it's too fast once again. Geek gonna end up letting the goal get open there. Now has to pass it back up. Open goals for both sides. The core flip comes through. JSS looking to score, does knock it right into Obscure Bread's hands, though, and he is gonna be able to clear it out. Goes in for another core flip, and it gets deflected by Gunner, and that's gonna be a goal for the side of ASOP.
Yeah, really great kind of awareness from JSS to not get KO'd there, really playing his life incredibly well. And then Gunner just keeping the core forward. Gunner and Geek, however, actually keeping the core forward and just keeping the pressure onto Obscure Breads there, rather.
For sure, now taking an early lead in this third set. They definitely need to start getting some stuff back.
Oh my.
That is not what they want. That is not how they want this to turn around.
So remember when I told you they all took Hot Shot? A Stealth Primary with Hot Shot just absolutely skyrocketed that core behind the first barrier, hitting both of them into an amazing, I believe that was a pendulum swing that actually got that goal. I need a replay on that one. That was incredibly fast.
Yeah, we'll have to wait for the game to end there, and hopefully it doesn't end too soon. I mean, ASOP's little Pog Champs trying to step it up here, trying to keep things competitive, and they have been competitive on a set-by-set level, but they're down 2-0 in the total match score, and losing up 2 more goals, losing this set, that's going to be it for game number 1, and they're going to already be on the back foot. Gunner now going to knock it up. That's going to be opened up, and this is the kind of play that ASOP's needs. They want to be able to convert this. Geek stepping up, but now they're down a man. Gunner's going to have to score it right here, and he can't get it. It gets cleared away by Wallaby Gangsta. And now Geek just trying to buy time, goes for the core flip, lets it time out, knocks it back away. Wallaby Gangsta gets it over to Zenith. They open up one more of those goal barriers, and now back over to Obscure Breads, trying to play up, trying to use the fact that they are even on men once again to try to be able to get it in here. And Gunner and JSS, they just can't find it. It's off the center. Geek, again, just deflecting, trying to buy time, trying to utilize that banish for the potential KO, but they can't get it onto Zenith, now knocking away JSS. They're still going to go on.
Yeah, this is a bit of a wild set. So many KOs, so many power plays that we've seen, but just nothing on the side of Best Western able to convert. As we see JSS get low again, core flip from Gunner, perfect into the top corner. I mean, well played to just keep going on that aggression, right? Rely on your goalie, rely on Geek to just pop off and cook that whole set. That was really well done.
Yeah, and that's really what you need to see out of ASOP's Little Pog Champs here. They're not letting the momentum get to them. They're not really starting to get tilted off the back of some of these crazy plays and off of how close they've been to winning these last couple of sets. That's what makes all the difference here, and they are still knowing that they are still in this. If they can take a goal here, they'll go up to winning a set, and then they'll just have to go for the full reverse sweep here. Starting off 2-0 in the set score, it's going to be a long, hard road, but it's got to start with a goal here. Geek going to pass it on up. Gunner now getting it knocked down on his side. He's already staggered, and he's going to get taken out as the center explodes. And that's going to be a numbers advantage for Best Western to try to even things up. There's going to be another one taken out. Geek does return one, but he's now in a 2-versus-1 situation. Wallaby and Obscure Breads stepping up, but Gunner has respawned. It's a 2-on-2 now on the field.
And this is truly the Atlas Lab special, right? I need to see, like, the death count via Gravity Well this game, because there's been so many, right? And there's been so many Giga Blasts as well, great death touches. I mean, this is just a wild game, lots of KOs, and Geek has just been holding it down the entire time amongst all the chaos.
Yeah, and he needs to, as he's down a member once again. JSS going to have to assist out in the defense here while they wait for their rune to respawn, but that's going to be the goal opened up now. Zenith looking to finish the job. The respawn comes through. The banish doesn't land, and now Wallaby Gangsta ready with the whiplash, gets knocked aside by the Giga Blast. Zenith is there. Zenith is ready with the Rose Warp, the knock in. Wallaby Gangsta doesn't find it, but they do find themselves another KO. If they can get it up to Zenith, they could try to finish this one off. The goalie is down. The defense is down, and Wallaby wants to close it out, but the defense is there from JSS. Finally, they'll sneak it through. It's 2-2.
And it's match point, Gordo. Match point there. That was a beautiful core flip into the primary from Zenith with the hot shot and overtime. I mean, it just went so fast. You can barely even see it at that point. The goalie's not quite up yet. Geek having to die to save the core crucially earlier in that set. And then JSS actually great core flip to start off that round, getting a quick little barrier.
For sure, and with that barrier down, it's a chance. I mean, this could either be the start of the reverse sweep, or it could just end it right here for Best Western to take game number 1. So much on the line with just this volley back and forth, and it's starting off with JSS just taking a boatload of damage, going into the center, not quite getting taken out, though, and now just going to have to play defense for a little bit, rushing over to that orb to make sure that they are at least going to be able to stay on the map for the foreseeable future, at risk of getting taken out by that pendulum swing. Does manage to dodge away. That's a big banish landed with a double anomaly and nearly taking out Wallaby, but he does manage to go elusive and get himself out of dodge, and now it's one barrier down for both sides, Borg.
Yeah, I mean, that strike shot almost killed Wallaby, and taking him off the field here while Gunner is cracked as well, that would have been huge. But now Wallaby almost back to full HP here, back to half, excuse me. They're on the power play now, and Breads does have that core flip. There's almost no chance, Geek, and now perfect pass there from Zenith onto the back of the court there to really get that last barrier, and all the pressure's on Geek here, and we'll see if Breads can just hold it down and Wallaby and Zenith can finish it. But JSS and Gunner, I mean, they're gonna have to pull out a miracle here to score.
They are. Gunner is back on the map and is going to need to find some huge plays here to be able to close this out. That's going to be a rapidly traveling core, not quite finding its mark in the goal. There's going to be the flip coming through from JSS. He manages to open up the goal, but there's the counter flip coming through from Zenith. Can't quite hit it in time, and Geek is going to be there, ready for the defense, ready with the barrage, but JSS taken off the map, and now it's a chance for Best Western to close out the game right here and right now. Pass up to Wallaby. Core flip from Geek across the map, but Obscure is ready to retain it, and now going to be down over towards Gunner. JSS is back on the map, is ready to play, and is ready to try to keep this series alive. Knocked up to Wallaby Gangsta. He wants to score it in. He's going to come off the center, ready back for Gunner. Now Geek trying to defend, trying to get it away, just barely saves it, but he's not done yet. He's got to keep intercepting these shots. The banish comes through. The KO for Gunner, passed back over to JSS. He wants to knock it in. It's passed up to Gunner. Can he find the angle here with this numbers advantage? And he can! JSS keeps the game going for ASOP's Little Pog Champs.
Oh my goodness. That was probably the closest. I mean, all of these rounds have been so incredibly close. And Geek, I mean, we can see it in the chat, the reactions going on. Geek is just absolutely holding everything down, just not playing nervous at all. This is just a walk in the park for him. And as we get into the draft, oh man, I mean, take a little breather here. Get the rapid fire from Geek here. I'm expecting Breads to take the fire up. I would assume he should fire up one of those new awakenings that we have seen. The Rune actually takes the fire up, and Kai gets Egoist. So as we see Rune core flip, we're gonna see a lot better energy economy on the side of ASOP's Little Pog Champs. And really, I mean, missile prop on the Zenith as well. I don't know. I really feel like Reds should have taken that fire up and just propel them into the future and just get a lot more of those energy bursts that they need.
Would have been the option, but isn't what they end up going for here. Is Wallaby Gangster getting knocked aside there by another banish from Gunner. And at least they've got room to play with. We'll see if those Awakenings end up paying off the way that they hope for. Geek playing up once again, and that's going to open up the goal here. That's going to be a KO as well. Best Western take control. Zenith gets the first goal of the set.
I mean, that was a quick round. Yeah, Best Western definitely taking that last round and saying, you know, we messed up, we couldn't convert, now it's time to just finish up this game, because tiebreakers matter, right? We're talking about it earlier. They need to secure a quick 2-0 in this game if they are going to take it, and if they do tie, they need to have really good scores for their tiebreaker stats on the other teams.
For sure, even managing to extend this out longer gives the opportunity for some spoiler plays and for some chances to have better tiebreaker results for yourself. So every goal, every set makes such a huge difference, and now going to be that 1-2 for the side of ASOP's Little Pog Champs. If they could tie it up, this would be a huge comeback for them to be able to take the win that they feel they deserve. Knocked back over. Geek trying to defend, trying to get it back over to the team. Obscure Breads just buying time here for the regen, buying time for the orbs, and now Obscure knocking it back over, defending on this top side goal barrier, and so far is not really giving up much of anything.
Yeah, I mean, he's been playing pretty locked down as well, and as I say that, a great Giga actually from Geek and a great play from Gunner's Pillar there as well to keep it in that top corner. No more barriers on the side of Best Western. Great pendulum swing, but Bread's last second save, perfect there. JSS and Gunner, keep in mind, both have core flip coming up as we see JSS pop his perfect into the top corner. Breads cannot get there on time, and it's 1-1. I mean, they're doing it. They're coming back.
They absolutely are. I mean, and again, it's been time and time again. They do not give up anything in regards to momentum, right? They're on the back foot. They have a really bad round, but they come back immediately and are not giving up a single thing. They are still playing at their peaks, and they are still keeping the game alive. Knocked back away. Geek now going to try to clear it back out. JSS and Gunner, it's on them to be able to open this goal up, and Zenith, knocked to about half HP, has to play a little careful themselves. Gunner on the outside, looking for a banish angle, looking to potentially take somebody off the map, but taking some piercing shots himself, is going to have to blink back away, and the Unstable Anomaly will get themselves an open goal, but it will be at the cost of Gunner. And now going to have to play defense here once again. Geek going to get a KO for himself off the barrage, and JSS now with an opportunity to close it out is going to try to knock it in. It gets fired away from by Obscure Breads. Gunner is back on the map, and they have a little bit of time to play with. The banish nearly gets him the angle, but Geek is just going to have to receive, and we're going to go back up to 3-on-3.
Yeah, I mean, great saves there. Great strike shot from Obscure Breads. Has the core flip, pops it here. I mean, there's still, the pressure's still on him as we see. Put it into the bottom corner. Gunner, great pass to JSS. Hits it into that bottom corner. Pendulum swing kills Breads. No more core flip on his side. And 2-1. I mean, the reverse sweep is starting. It's menacing here. They're not really playing scared at all here at all.
No, they're not. It's really starting to seriously come alive as it's going to be passed back over, and so far not going to be able to turn it into anything, but Gunner now going to knock it back up towards the top side, looking to get something with JSS. They are going to be able to open up one of those barriers, and now still just keeping them on the back foot, knocking it back and forth. That's going to be the volley back over towards Gunner, down to JSS, looking for the bottom barrier, can't find it. Obscure and Zenith playing double defense have done so much here. Off the center, Gunner ready to receive, can't quite find it. Wallaby takes a boatload of damage, but stays standing and is going to be able to take one of the barriers for himself. Now back up over to JSS, and now going to be the core flip coming on through from Gunner, knocking it down towards the side. Obscure Breads is able to intercept, and it is going to be knocked back over to the side of JSS and Gunner. They just cannot find their way in towards the bottom. Are going to get it off the wall, and Wallaby brawling up with Geek here is going to find himself staggered. Geek wants to close this, as does JSS. Gunner passes it to himself with the numbers advantage. Geek coming out of the goalie box, looking at midfield. It is going to get banished away, and this is a chance for JSS. He tries to get it off the Unstable Anomaly, but can't quite find it. Core flip coming through from Obscure Breads. Can't find the goal either. Off the center. Gunner and JSS on the back foot. Zenith looks for the score, can't find it. Geek, impenetrable as always, will not give up a single centimeter and is going to be able to keep this volley going. This is a chance for ASOPs to tie it up at 2-2, but so far they haven't been able to find it. Elusive comes through. JSS tries to score. He gets it onto Obscure Breads.
Yeah, Bread's just trying to clear up there, trying to keep it away from JSS, but just slightly off angle, and it gets right back into his own net there. One thing that I really would like to see from Best Western to deny this reverse sweep is Wallaby playing with a bit more confidence, playing up, letting Obscure Breads and Zenith get it to him. He's been playing a lot more back, a lot more almost nervous and scared, it looks like, and JSS and Gunner have been taking full advantage of it. As we get into the draft here, great pickup on the side of JSS to get that prime time. Specialized on the Kai, that is going to be very scary. Gets the Gigas. Estelle with that aerials, excuse me, gonna have pretty much an infinite range with missile prop. And nothing too crazy else. Actually, we get the Timeless on the rune. Probably one of his best trainings. That's going to be a game changer.
Definitely could be. See what's going to be able to be accomplished with the Timeless. JSS down to the bottom side, trying to find an angle, knocks over through the center. There's a big Giga Blast from Geek. Almost gets themselves a little goal barrier to start things off, trying to just cheat one out where they can, and they do manage to get it off the barrage. Now JSS going to be getting the banish. There is Gunner. It's Zenith taken back off, but able to rejoin now after the fact. They managed to open one up on the other side, but Wallaby Gangsters taken off the map by Geek. Geek now secured the numbers advantage for the team. JSS too tanky for Zenith to do anything. They open up the goal. JSS going to force out the Elusive just with the threat. Nearly gets it in, but Obscure Bread saves it at the very last second, but it's not out of the woods just yet. The knockback over from Gunner. Geek stepping up to midfield, looking for these shots, looking to knock it in. There's the core flip from Gunner, but can't find it. Still staying alive, still keeping the defense, and now a KO earned for the side of Best Western. It's their turn to try to play up and aggressive.
I mean, the power play, we see the flip from Geek there to deny it, but a great Estelle Blink to redirect that core off of the flip, and now it's end of the power play here. However, open goals for each. Giga Blast just missing. Wallaby here with the core, trying to feed it down to Zenith. Actually, Obscure Bread's going to be doing it. It has the flip. Great kill from JSS with the flip, right past the flip of Obscure Breads onto that bottom corner. And oh my gosh, I mean, just the pressure from JSS and Gunner here is just mounting.
And ASOP's little PogChamps feeling themselves here on the verge of that big comeback that we were talking about just moments ago. Now up 1-0 in set number 5 with these full awakenings decked out for both teams. They are taking back control, and they are so far looking like they just might be able to take it. JSS gets knocked aside by a little bit of a death touch coming through from Wallaby, but that's not going to dissuade him for very long at all. They do manage to take down one of the goal barriers, and now passed back up to Geek. 1-1 in that goal barrier count. Wallaby Gangsta does get the death touch, but it gets knocked away by Gunner. There's another KO earned by Zenith and Obscure Breads onto JSS. The numbers advantage back over to Best Western. So far, haven't been able to convert, just getting it cleared away once again. Pass back up towards Wallaby. He will open up the goal, and JSS is back onto the map, going in with the Whiplash. Going to look to try to get a quick response, but Zenith sneaks it in there with the special, and it's 1-1.
And we actually see the specialized training from that Kai come into effect there. That kill definitely would not have happened off the Giga Blast onto, I believe it was the rune. And just a great play from Zenith to finish it off and get that last goal, and a great play from Wallaby to finish that core. They need to have more of these clutch plays, more of these KOs, more of this pressure, just like they were doing in these first 2 sets. And they really just need to find themselves. They need to stop playing nervous. And as I say that, nervous, not a great core flip. I believe he thought he had core flip because he did press evade and just does not quite have it yet.
Yeah, the nerves getting to him, as you say. Zenith going to go in for that core flip. If he can get the setup with the Crystal Thorns again, that's been the secret sauce for them to be able to get some scores back in this game. But now knocked back over, JSS ready to receive, goes for the core flip, knocks it up, and that's a 2-1 score line. Match point for ASOP's little PogChamps.
And we can actually see the fire up coming into play in some of these games here, just giving so much more energy on the side of ASOP's little PogChamps. And JSS, I mean, great conversion rate this entire game with his core flips, finding the opposite corner, waiting for Breads' abilities to come out, and just very patient with it. Great play from him.
For sure, and now on the verge of being able to close things out thanks to that play. Knocked back over towards Geek, going to clear it back out. Already going to be one down. There's the banish. Zenith nearly dead. That's going to be a Giga Blast to knock him into the stagger. Now just getting bullied, knocked around by JSS, who wants to get the job finished and is going to do so. It's a numbers advantage for ASOP's little Pog Champs, but the goal is now open for them as well. Obscure Breads still playing defense on this barrier, going to buy them a little bit of time. Core flip doesn't work out. JSS cannot sneak it in there, and they are going to now have to play even with their goal opened up. It's a chance for Best Western to come back and take this to 2-2, finding out who's gonna able to win the game. It's coming down to the very last inches.
Yeah, I mean, great play so far this set from Obscure Breads. We see a banish here. I don't believe that will kill. One pillar is not enough, but we're really just looking towards these, great pillar there from Gunner to find that. Not quite able to convert off a Wallaby there. And just looking at Obscure Breads here, see if he can find the Giga Blast. Seeing if, wow, perfect! A still right click into that forward position could get into that pendulum swing. I'm struggling to see what even happened there. I do know what happened. The Estelle hits it perfectly forward, past the two forwards. The pendulum swing redirects it into that bottom corner. It's 2-2, last point. This is crazy.
It absolutely is here, Borg. It's all coming down to this one volley. Knocking back and forth at midfield. These teams do not want to give up a single inch. They want to take game number one. They want to move themselves higher up in the standings. They want to guarantee themselves that playoffs berth. And it's the goal already opened up for ASOP's little Pog Champs. The banish comes through. Gunner knocked away by the damage of Gangsta. He wants to get him off this map, and Zenith is going to finish off the job. The core flip comes through from Geek, but it's returned by Zenith just to keep the aggression going. JSS going to try to clear it back away. He does get it over to Obscure Breads, but he has to go elusive to keep himself standing, and Wallaby Gangsta is willing to take the reins and try to open this goal up. JSS nearly gets knocked away by one more piercing shot, and he will get finished off by Wallaby. Down to Zenith now. It's a numbers advantage for Best Western once again as it's passed back up. Wallaby Gangsta wants to close it out before this Rasmus gets back out of the map. It's Zenith going in for the Rose Thorn. Can't quite find it. Knocked back up. Zenith can't get it in there. The Crystal Thorns have not found their targets. Neither does the Death Touch, but it's another KO. Western never letting all three members face up to the Pog Champs onto the map, but so far they still just cannot open up this goal. They can't find their target, and they are not going to be able to secure it. Gunner has respawned once again.
I mean, they're getting the pressure, they're finding these KOs, but man, Geek is just the iron wall this game. They cannot find the barrier. Geek said, get out of my house. This barrier is my home, and you are not allowed, because Wallaby and Zenith are just looking like, I mean, they just cannot find this barrier. I really don't know what to say. And as I say that, it perfectly timed a stealth special. It hits that barrier. Great flip from Breads there to save it. I mean, I'll just hit it back to you because this is intense here. As Gunner is now staggered.
He finally finds it. Gunner gonna secure victory and gonna secure the reverse sweep for ASOP's little Pog Champs.
Gunner with the perfectly timed pillar to get that amazing redirect into the bottom corner. There was nothing Breads could have done. He already sent that barrage. He already sent his Giga Blast. I mean, really just a heartbreaker for Best Western that they could not close that out after getting so many KOs at the end. I mean, just look at the stats here. Look at Zenith's damage. 71 almost 1,000 damage. 13 KOs, 10 KOs on the side of Wallaby, and 8 KOs on the side of Breads. And I mean, Gunner with 11 KOs himself and JSS with 9. They definitely found their own KOs, but man, the biggest thing that game was that Best Western just could not find the conversions onto their power plays, and the entire game Geek has just been running circles around him.
Yeah, I mean, both goalies, by the way, coming up huge so many times in these games as well. Crazy amounts of saves for both teams. I mean, that's to be expected when we get basically the maximum amount of rounds that you could get in a game of Omega Strikers, but wow, so much done by every single player in this game, and it's not over yet. I mean, we're going to get a second matchup between these two, Borg.
Yeah, that felt like 3 games, so getting a quick breather here. But man, that was probably the closest game. I've said that on a couple of these casts, but I think by far that was the closest game we've ever seen, especially on this West League. There've been a couple good ones going through. It'd definitely be worth to check a lot of these VODs coming up here after the season going into playoffs, but I don't know. How long was that? Does anyone know? Does anyone know the timer on that? Can we get a time check? Because that was wild.
It was
40 minutes.
That was a 40-minute game. That was a 40-minute game, Borg. If you count pick ban, and I do count pick ban. If I gotta be on camera, that counts for the game length, baby.
That does count.
That's a long one. That's a tremendous one, and that's only 1 out of 4 we got going here, Borg. I hope you got your water. I hope
I
you've
do.
re-steeled yourself. You
Right
just come
here.
off a match, so you got a full day ahead of you, my guy.
Yeah, not, I mean, from my match, nothing too crazy. We all kind of went in it for fun. We all know that it was not really for any standing, so I'm not too tired. But man, I mean, that took more out of me than I think any game could have.
Yeah. It looks like it's gonna be Aden City for this game
Okay.
number 2. ASOP's little Pog champs with the momentum in their favor. They've successfully taken game number 1. I don't think they've played on Aten City, at least not in anything that I have the stats for. So really curious to see what they're gonna go for. Best Western has played on this previously. They've gone for the Aimi Rasmus Zentaro comp, and that's gonna be the Estelle ban.
Yeah, and then with Built Different up and Juliet up, I expect Wallaby and JSS to be playing that Juliet here. Geek and Bread's probably going to be sticking to the Kais as well. Both of them played phenomenal, as well as Glass Cannon being an amazing training on Aten City for them. We see the Rasmus actually, so the Rasmus Julia on the side of ASOP's little Pog champs, and again, I believe it's going to be a mirror matchup here actually, as we have to wait for this last lock-in. Oh, Drakkar goalie, actually, I believe. That should be the Drakkar goalie. It could be the Rasmus goalie. I would definitely be surprised if it was, given it is Aten City. But, I mean, I guess Breads, yeah, it is Breads on the Drakkar goalie. I guess he likes it a bit more on this map, a little bit more pressure, a little bit more, I guess, KO threat with the Molten Bolts. But man, I mean, this is probably going to be just as crazy of a game, too.
It definitely could be. I mean, these guys showed that these can go pound for pound, blow for blow in that first match, and now they've got a whole second one to play out here, and it matters just as much as the first one. Every single game is just a game as far as the scores are considered. Doesn't matter how close it is, doesn't matter how many goals you scored, other than when we're getting towards those crucial tiebreakers. And, this game, that previous game is already going to make him crazy. This one can make him even crazier.
Yeah, and if no one caught it, by the way, it was the Estelle ban and the Rune ban, paying respect to last game on Zenith and Gunner. Respectfully, I mean, rightfully so, right? Both of them playing phenomenal in both those games. As we see JSS, Julie Diff getting that first KO onto Wallaby.
Yeah, and that Julie versus Julie matchup gonna be so big in this entire game here. That's what a lot of these end up coming down to, and both of them have had such dangerous Julies. That's why we saw the double ban in game number 1. JSS going to win it out again, though. Takes down a second KO, and now playing up and aggressive. Geek is out of the box, is looking to pass it back up. Gunner over to JSS. Nice block there, earned for Obscure Breads, but so far, just buying time for Zenith to rejoin. There's the core flip off the top, not going to find a target. Down to JSS, can't quite core flip it himself yet, and Geek still managing to keep that barrier standing.
Yeah, I mean, JSS just finding these crucial KOs, but Geek at the same time keeping his barrier safe, which is, I mean, notoriously incredibly hard to hold on to on Aten City. Very fragile barrier, very large. Most times people don't really care to protect it all that much, and as we say, that perfectly timed redirect on Zenith. And wow, great core flip on the side of Breads there, baiting out JSS core flip as well. Mistimes it there a little bit, and finding the bottom corner. Geek caught slipping a little bit rare.
Yeah, I mean, just very bare, like, they cast it at pretty much the exact same moment, but JSS just loses out on that coin flip, is going to end up giving up the goal there. I mean, it ends up so much more impactful than you even would have expected, and now it's going to be a 1-0 lead for Best Western. Still going to be on the aggressive side, though, is ASOP's little Pog champs. They managed to clear out the goal barrier, but it's going to be at the cost of JSS, and now with the numbers disadvantage, Gunner's not quite going to be able to close this out. It's going to get cleared back away, but there's the core flip, just buying time, knocks it off the bottom, looking for the goal. Obscure Breads, though, ready to intercept and ready to defend. Here's JSS back onto the map. Wallaby Gangsta already staggered. Going to have to watch out for this Flame Flurry coming through from JSS, who's looking for the KO. Wallaby gets knocked out by the pendulum swing, and now it's back down towards the bottom. Gunner going to be able to pass it up here to JSS. Obscure Bread's trying to defend, but Gunner just sneaks it in.
That was actually the secondary recast on Zenith. A little bit premature there. Hits it into his own net. Not what he was looking for there. Gunner does get the kill credit as he was the last to find that redirect, but really unfortunate there. And, I mean, 1-1, not the end of the world, but barrier goes down on the side of Best Western as Zenith finds that KO, says, hey, I might have made a mistake once, but you're dead, buddy.
Yeah, now taking it back for Best Western. I mean, we've focused the narrative on ASOP so much because of their reverse sweep, but now Best Western are the ones on the back foot, and they're the ones who have something to prove coming into this game number 2, and Wallaby Gangsta's gonna prove it as he takes one off the map. Obscure Bread stepping forward now, looking to close out a goal off this numbers advantage to take the lead for themselves. Zenith going to go for the pendulum swing, gets deflected away by Geek, and now it's back over to Wallaby, going in for the punch, can't quite find it, and JSS now with some alone time with Obscure Breads, but it gets snuck right past him. Wallaby gets taken out, JSS ready for him, and Geek passes it back up to Gunner. JSS coming down to intercept on the bottom side. The pendulum swing from Gunner secures another goal.
Yeah, not quite what Breads was looking for there. The clear just a little bit too shy, and Gunner takes advantage of that, predicts the clear down, and finds that pendulum swing completely out of range of Breads' core flip or shotgun. So definitely a great find there from Gunner, and just keeping the pressure onto Best Western.
And I think that's how he's scored both goals now for ASOP's Little PogChamps. It's been off these little pendulum swing plays. It's normally JSS playing the Rasmus for the side of ASOP's Little PogChamps, but Gunner showing he's got a solid one in the back pocket as well. But as I say that, that's going to be Best Western opening things up. Zenith going to receive the core, passes it down to Wallaby, looking for the goal. Knocked aside is Wallaby, but Obscure Breads is up here. He's got the lock and load, but can't quite knock it in. Zenith ready now with the whiplash, goes in for the pendulum swing, can't knock it in. JSS ready to receive on the top side, but has to go elusive as he gets knocked down by the Molten Bolt, and now looking for a KO onto Gunner. It's JSS whiffing a little bit of that Flying Phoenix there, and now Obscure Bread's going to knock things back over, but is just ready to receive it once again. Gunner doesn't quite land the core flip there, and is now getting knocked aside by Wallaby Gangsta. That's going to be a 3 versus 2 on the map for Best Western. Down over to Zenith, looking for the pendulum swing, gets stuck in between the two of them, right past the uprights. Zenith can't get it in, passed back over, pendulum swing for the double KO right as Gunner respawns, and now with no goalie left, can they get the score completed? JSS just trying to buy time, knocking it back and forth between the bottom barrier, and is going to manage to knock it back over, and the respawn comes through in time. ASOP's Little PogChamps, they hold on.
Yeah, I'm really surprised they could not find that after getting 2 quick KOs. And as I say that, Wallaby finding another KO. Can he convert it this time? Wins the strike war. Finally converts it 2-2. I mean, I'm starting to get scared for him here because they're finally finding their stride, getting in that brawling matchup, right? Getting these KOs, getting these really crucial KOs. But, I mean, struggling to finally convert. But as we see Wallaby, you know, get the strike war win there after the quick kill on the Geek. Right as we start here, he's actually already 1 HP and putting JSS onto 1 HP. So great kill from Zenith and another power play. I mean, we'll see if they can convert finally.
Yeah, core flip to open things up, and Best Western starting to find their groove a little bit here in this game number 2. They want to take themselves the first set to prove that this was just a fluke in game number 1 and that they can close out one of these. Just choking it away a little bit there in the first game, now wanting to come back in the second. Knocked back away by Obscure Breads. JSS going in for the Flame Flurry, pushing back Wallaby Gangsta, getting as much damage as they can. A nice block there from Geek, going to do plenty to buy them time, but that's KO earned by Gunner. Now passed back over from Geek. They want to utilize this. Zenith going to return a KO for himself, though, and it's going to be 2-on-2 on the field for now. 3 seconds to go until we've got a Julie back for the side of Best Western. Zenith getting knocked low by Geek's damage as well. Passed back up. Wallaby Gangsta ready for it. Goes in. Can't quite land it onto the core, and Obscure Breads just has to keep playing defense. JSS knocks aside Zenith, and there's going to be the clear into the opened up goal. Gunner is ready for it. Can't quite land it, but does land the death touch to get a numbers advantage here. Passed back up to JSS, looking for the Flying Phoenix, knocked back away by Gunner, and now down to JSS with one more punch. It goes to ASOP.
And I mean, we just see the same thing happen, you know, getting that power play onto ASOP's PogChamps, but they actually can convert, you know, and man, I mean, it's kind of heartbreaking to see because they're getting they're getting a lot of this pressure on the side of Best Western. They're getting so many opportunities, but just cannot convert over and over again. And, you know, I'm not sure if it's because, you know, maybe not accustomed to playing with each other quite as much, playing with, you know, around half the season, so I don't think that's it. Maybe it's a little bit of nerves. It could just be a bunch of things, and kind of touching on draft a little bit. Nothing too crazy here. We are going to get Orb Replicator on the side of Geek, and so does not have any Orb trainings yet, but will still be getting health and a little bit of EXP onto his teammates, so definitely will come into play a little bit, but nothing else too crazy overall.
Yeah, I mean, the nerves can make a big difference on this stage here, Borg, as I'm sure you know. These guys, probably in the most important match they've played in Omega Strikers so far, other than perhaps when they originally qualified. We're not in the playoffs quite yet, but these are the matches that can determine whether you even get to make it to that stage or not. And so far, it has been ASOP's Little PogChamps clutching it out at every opportunity, and they take themselves the set lead for it.
Yeah, and one thing to note here as well, finds a great dash punch onto Geek, actually, is that whenever they can remove Geek off of the field, they actually have a much higher success rate. So as we see there, takes Geek off, finds the power play goal. So it makes you think, you know, maybe a lot of the issue going on with Best Western is that Geek is just thwarting a lot of their plans, right? Geek popping off completely this game. So maybe they found that out now, you know, and are going to be looking to kill a Geek.
Perhaps. Easier said than done, but if they can manage to do it, it would definitely be their pathway back into this, and JSS taking a boatload of damage there from JSS, and now going to be able to clear it back out, or from Wallaby, rather, who's now going to be looking to receive it from the pass of Obscure Breads, knocked back away by Geek, trying to keep this cleared, but Gunner just taking a whole set of damage and gets knocked off by the big pendulum swing here. That's a numbers advantage once again for Best Western. Can they close it out this time? JSS throwing down the emotes, but is it going to be enough for him to actually be able to take this? The Flame Flurry doesn't land it, but they do get the KO on a Geek once again. It's the recipe. Can they complete it? And they do go for the core flip, but it gets knocked back away. JSS able to play defense. 3 seconds to go on to Geek, and it looks like JSS will keep it cleared away for long enough. Back at full strength. ASOP's Little PogChamps hold on.
Yeah, I mean, crucially hold on, allow Geek to respawn here. Wallaby also looking incredibly low on HP with no energy. JSS, great Julie ultimate, the Fiery Flurry, to find that kill as he gets Molten Bolted. Has the energy now to core flip, and Obscure Breads actually, rather, has no core flip as well here, so they have that chance to get it. Perfect kill, perfect core flip on the side of JSS with the dash punch to get the goalie kill, and now they're at the man advantage here.
Yeah, it's kind of a Julie goalie angle here. JSS passes it back over. Gunner sneaks it through. 1-1 on the scoreboard for set number 2.
Yeah, that was, I mean,
we'll have to see a replay of that one, because beautiful KO there on JSS, dash punch into the energy burst, also getting the barrier, and then a great passing play for Gunner to get it into that bottom corner. I mean, just great play overall and great conversion.
Yeah, absolutely excellent there. JSS to find that KO, Gunner to sneak in the goal, and Geek just to keep it cleared out whenever needed. Gunner now trying to return some of that damage and going to be forcing the elusive there out of Zenith, who is going to just try to knock it back on up. Does have the Whiplash available. Wallaby Gang still lands a nice Flame Flurry onto 2. Is going to try to knock out Gunner, who goes elusive just in time. But the goal was successfully opened there by Best Western. That's going to be the easy part, though. Will they be able to close out the pendulum swing? Nets it for Best Western.
Yeah, and he actually did have that core flip as well, so crucially saving it for this next round. And both forwards actually on the side of Best Western with the energy burst. We expect them to use it here, I mean, hopefully to close out this set as one to get the barrier, maybe one to get the goal. I'll have to see how this goes. It's Wallaby core flip to survive. Perfect dash punch actually, getting KO'd for it, but gets the barrier in return and staggering Geek. Great core flip on the side of Zenith, using the secondary as well to knock everyone else away, putting it into the bottom corner. Finally tying it back up 1-1.
All right, Best Western coming alive here with an extended stay in the enemy side's goal box, and they do manage to secure themselves set number 2.
Yeah, and then looking into draft here, I do expect Zenith here to take that big fish size, incredibly crucial stat here on the Rasmus, as well as the Juliet, so also denying it. The JSS taking peak performance, missile prop crucially being an infinite training here, so not able to deny it from the side of Best Western on the Jakar. Very strong training. And Geek also taking that training as well. Catalyst on the side of Wallaby and Chrono Boost on Gunner. So one thing I will look out for is actually Catalyst on Wallaby Gangster, one of the newer awakenings. He's been getting a lot of energy, as we just saw there. That one combo took him above half energy there. So yeah, he's going to be core flipping a lot more.
Yeah, Gunner just getting crushed in the damage department there, but is able to sneak away without getting KO'd for it. And Geek now with the extended range, want to see what he's going to be able to get done. He's been so on point with his ranged shots throughout this series, and now that he's going to have access to longer range for the rest of this game. Oh, JSS with a double KO and a goal.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that was... I'm actually surprised that that killed Obscure Breads as well. Zenith was staggered, so that does make sense, but Man, I mean, I guess Build Different is that strong because that was insane. And a great core flip there to get that early barrier. He is low on health and gets secured the kill by Zenith here as well. So man advantage, they can have time to get this barrier down. Great core flip from Wallaby, not able to find anything with it though. Gets Geek's core flip from it. And end of the power play here, back to normal, and they're still at the disadvantage as they get the barrier, as I say that.
Yeah, evening things out there for now. Obscure Bread's going to clear it back up towards the top side, but Gunner is ready to receive with the pendulum swing, knocking it down over towards JSS. Flame Flurry doesn't land, and Geek actually has to get back to go and pick up the core that he missed earlier. Will be able to clear it back out here, and now going to defend very nicely. Giga Blast back over towards midfield, knocked back up to Gunner, down towards JSS. The KO is found, but he can't win the one-on-one up against Obscure Breads. That volley does manage to clear it back out, but now with the numbers advantage, Gunner and JSS stepping up, and it just slips through Obscure Bread's fingers. It's a 2-0 lead for ASOP.
Oh, you hate to see it.
I think he thought that his strike would be back up in time, so he did not want to core flip. However, that was not the case. Still had no strike left. I believe he whiffed his strike shot actually there, so definitely should have flipped there. A little mistake. 2-0 now on the side. Quick little 2-0, and early KO as well within 10 seconds onto Wallaby. Another core flip, trading core flips here onto that power play. Great play from Zenith there actually to get that barrier a man down, and Wallaby should be respawning here soon with a man up and a barrier up.
JSS was looking for it there, couldn't quite find it, but now at that Omega level 10, Wallaby still stuck at level 9, just a little bit of a difference there, but we'll see if it ends up feeding into anything. Now pass back up over to Gunner, clears it back out with the pendulum swing. It's on Geek now to try to clear it back. This could be a 3-0 set for ASOP's Little Pog Champs if they are able to net it for themselves. Best Western certainly do not want to have to face that down coming into set number 4. Clearing it back out, Wallaby Gangster looks for the KO. Gunner is able to go elusive in time, gets knocked back on over towards the other side. Pendulum swing to get it to the bottom right corner. JSS looking for the Flying Phoenix, does manage to open up the goal. Cleared back out by Wallaby Gangster, intercepted by Geek, who is now going to core flip it himself. Passes it down, does get deflected away by Zenith. This is an opportunity here as JSS is stuck on the other side, but gets knocked back over towards the right. Now going to be the core flip coming through. Interesting angle there by Zenith. Can't quite get it past Geek, who is playing far enough back to still manage to defend. Knocks it back away with the strike shot back over towards JSS and Gunner, and going to be JSS in charge of trying to finish this. He does manage to get the KO. It's a 2-on-2. Passed up to JSS, knocks it back down. Wallaby Gangster clears it back over, goes in for the Flying Phoenix, can't quite find it. JSS takes a flurry to the face, but still has plenty of stagger to work with, goes for the core flip, but Obscure Breads is going to clear it back out. Now another KO earned for Gunner. The numbers advantage here for ASOP's Little Pog Champs as they want to close this one out. Obscure Breads is going to be able to save it, and it's going to get knocked back away by Zenith once again. It's all on Gunner to be able to close this one and move it down towards JSS, but Wallaby Gangsta is back onto the map and is managing to keep their hopes and dreams alive of being able to take this set. Gets knocked back over. Gunner looking to intercept. JSS goes for the Flying Phoenix, can't find it. There's the flurry, there's the kill, and there's the 3-0 set for ASOP's Little Pog Champs.
Oh my goodness, he finds it there. Onto JSS, gets the R. Nothing that Breads can do there. There was a possible chance of him evading and then getting the strike down below, but that is so incredibly hard to do. And a really amazing, I mean, just amazing set there from the side of ASOP's Pog Champs, just showing why they deserve to be number 2 seed right now, and actually have secured number 2 seed right there with that first set win, by the way. So as we get into draft here, Geek getting that extra special, amazing training onto, I'm surprised he didn't take a specialized, but I guess he prefers having more abilities rather than better abilities. Heavy impact on the Drakar, very strong ability as well. Egoist actually going to be going onto Zenith, and specialized training onto JSS. I believe it was tempo swing onto Wallaby, helping him live a little bit longer, and rapid fire onto Gunner. So actually could change the kind of how this game is played here, as we see Wallaby full heal from his R and killing JSS as well there. So going to be a lot harder to kill Wallaby now. So I expect Best Western to actually have a little bit of an advantage now coming in. As I say that, Gunner with the amazing secondary into the strike. Perfect play, getting that quick goal. Only 17 seconds into that first set.
Yeah, and you know, as you said, ASOP having secured second seed, really proving how and why here, as they are performing so impressively in this matchup up against a very close rival in the standings, now just taking control coming into this game number 2 with a 2-1 set lead, having to come back in a reverse sweep in game number 1. They're looking much stronger in game number 2 as they've started to download their opponents. Just as I say that, Wallaby Gangsta finds himself a nice KO, but Gunner not willing to let it up. That's going to be Giga Blast off the bottom. Wallaby Gangsta stepping up now. Gunner going to be able to clear it back away. And Obscure Breads has managed to deflect it so far. Geek goes for the core flip, now has to get back in towards his own goal. Gunner knocking it back over, and JSS just kind of stuck running around with Wallaby here, and it sneaks past Geek. A real weird set there.
Yeah, I think he thought that his barrage would actually catch that core, but not quite. He did have to strike first. He also could have thought, you know, sometimes I'll make a mistake too where I press my left click, you know, I click my mouse to strike, and then I click something else to barrage. However, one goes off before the other, and, you know, mistakes happen. But good goal there, 1-1 now, giving Best Western a little bit better of a shot here, finding a lot of these KOs and this damage, as Zenith does have flip, and with the Egoist, he has that speed boost as well. Finds the KO actually on the Gunner, and this is their chance to make all the difference and get a lead in this fourth set here.
Yeah, a big chance here for the side of Best Western. They've got themselves the numbers. They've got themselves the double KO. Obscure Breads passing it back over to Wallaby. Zenith ready to receive. There's the Flying Phoenix, and there's the goal for Wallaby.
Yeah, right after the KO, crucial play. Great play from Breads there, actually using his shotgun, stepping up unafraid, and actually hitting it away from Gunner there. Getting it to Wallaby, perfect strike into the Flying Phoenix to actually secure the goal. They're up 2-1. I mean, this is their chance to really tie up the sets and show that they deserve to tie the number 2 seed here.
Definitely could, as they knock it back aside. Wallaby Gangsta going to want that momentum coming into playoffs, assuming that they are going to be able to make it. And, you know, taking this game here, going to be a big step towards being able to do that. You don't know how the rest of the Western Series are going to play out today. Now, quite a bit of damage coming in towards Wallaby, gets knocked aside, but the Zenith goal comes through, and we're going to set number 5.
You know, and you'd like to think after all these long games, Geek might be getting tired, you know? I mean, Geek is just playing so well all these games, but that set, you know, felt like he got a little bit outpaced by the forwards on Best Western. And as we get into draft here, lots of juicy things. Infinite Fire Up. I wouldn't be surprised if everyone in the game took Fire Up here. Obviously, Primetime also very strong as well. Going to be taken away on Zenith. Very strong onto the Rasmus too. Orb Ponder, actually, because I believe he does have the Replicator. Yep, Geek with the Replicator has the Orb Ponder. Going to start stacking that up for his team. And everyone else should be taking Fire Up here. Fire Up, one of the best trainings in the game. These core flips, these energy bursts, whatever you want to call them. I mean, it's going to be giving everyone speed, everyone else energy on their team. We're going to be seeing an even crazier set 5.
Yeah, I mean, so much energy going to be flying around. So many core flips going to be available here. And Gunner clearing it back over now. Just going to get bullied around by Wallaby Gangsta, though. And there's the KO earned for Best Western. Zenith going to be passing it down to Wallaby. They could open things up here, and they do manage to do so. Geek has his work cut out for him. Core flip comes through, and there's a goal for Best Western.
I mean, I don't know what's happened. I don't know if maybe they're marathon runners. You know, maybe Geek's a sprint here. Like, just they're playing so much better. They may be listening to the stream here as they play, you know. But I think they found the key, found the formula. They're playing phenomenal now. Bread's already having that core flip in that first goal. And Wallaby and Zenith looking to actually get a core flip of their own. As I say that, though, Wallaby gets KO'd here crucially. And now a man advantage for the side of ASOP's Little PogChamps.
Yeah, I mean, this is what we were talking about coming into game number 2, right? I mean, ASOP's Little PogChamps, they're the clutch team here. At least that's what they've shown us today. Let's see if they can keep that reputation standing for game number 2 with their backs up against the wall in this set number 5. They're already down 1-0, but JSS is going to be able to earn himself a KO, and Gunner gonna knock it back over to the other side. JSS goes in for the core flip, can't quite find the goal, and is now going to be a missed Giga Blast there from Geek. Rare that we see those, as JSS going to be knocked pretty low on health. Zenith back onto the map, now just brawling with JSS here on the bottom. He does manage to sneak himself that orb, and now another Giga Blast comes through, knocks aside Obscure Breads, but it's still going to be the core pressed up against the side of ASOP's Little PogChamps. There's the KO for Wallaby. Goal is open, goalie is down, and Zenith looking to knock it in with the pendulum swing, but it is going to get cleared back away, and it's actually an open goal earned. Gunner with the last second save clears it out once again, and Geek is back onto the map. Core flip coming through for Zenith. Another KO. Geek goes down as soon as he comes up, and Wallaby wants to close it but can't find his angle onto the core. Zenith just passes it to him over and over and over, and finally Wallaby gets it in there.
I mean, just gets 2 KOs in a row onto Geek there. Wallaby showing why he is one of the most aggressive Juliet players, I mean, in the world, not only in North America, and just showing why he can find these KOs, find these advantages, and letting Zenith get him the core over and over again until he finally gets that goal as well. And I mean, props to Breads as well for just keeping the core forward and keeping clutch saves over and over again this entire set. 2-0 as they have another power play. I mean, I'm smelling the end here.
It's very possible they could take this one with a 3-0 set number 5, going to stamp their mark on the Western League. They may be goes 1-1, but they are looking good coming into the playoffs. Best Western tie everything up.
Yeah, and I mean, after that tie, Best Western showing that they definitely belong here. However, it's going to depend mainly on this next match and the matches further on in the day here, whether Best Western even makes it into the game. You know what I mean? Even makes it into playoffs, rather. So great performance there. I think they definitely found their stride into that second game a little bit better. Insane 2 games as we look at the stats here. I mean, pretty similar stats all around. I believe a couple more KOs on the side of Best Western as per usual, as we tend to see with, Wallaby and Zenith being very, very aggressive players. But man, I mean, whew, those were 2 insane games.
Definitely were there, and I'm seeing here in the chat that Best needed to win that series, or that game rather, to be able to stay in playoff contention.
Yeah.
So huge for them to be able to take that 1-1, tie things up. It is a secured playoffs now for the side of ASOP's Little Pog Champs. We will be seeing them in the postseason kicking off next week, but now Best. It's going to depend on the rest of the matches today, so plenty of reason to stay tuned for the rest of the Western matches, even if Best is the only team you're concerned about, but we are going to have some more still coming up.
Yeah, and I believe we're going to be jumping to an analyst desk here soon, in a couple minutes, actually, to break down that insane Game 1 and Game 2, both being a little crazy. Usually, we see one pretty close game, and then the other one kind of gets a little bit different, not too crazy, but both those going to all the way to set 5, the first game going to that final point, the second game a 3-0 in set 5 for Best Western. But I mean, man, I want to see Yoki break this down, because it's going to take some top player analysis to really understand what happened here and to really get the chat to know everything that went down.
And let me paint a picture here for you, Borg. Imagine this, but it's playoffs and we're going to a game number 3. I mean, this gets me hyped for what's going to be happening next week and what's going to be happening as we get into the postseason. I mean, so much parity being shown in the Western Conference here between our teams that could be our number 2 and our number 3, could be our number 2 and our number 4. I mean, it's still on the table that Best Western could even miss playoffs. These teams are so tightly packed together, and these games are so competitive.
Yeah, it gets my mind excited. It doesn't get my voice excited, as I'm sure it does you too, especially if we see 3 games going that close into playoffs. But hopefully, some teams start getting some secret picks, some cool new strategies we'll see maybe. We'll have to see. Playoffs is going to be a crazy time for both regions. And I believe we are kicking it over here soon, actually. Yeah, to Coach Yoki and Saya for that game breakdown.
Cool. We'll be back soon.
Hello, I am here once again. It's like the 5th time by now. Back with Coach Yoki. You know the drill. Yoki, what do you have to say about these games?
Well, game 1 was very interesting. The reverse sweep game. It was Deadeye Start, which for Rune actually has an interaction. Not every ability with Deadeye functions on cast. Basically, so if Rune is the X and places a pillar on the circle, this is not 600 meters, right? But what happens is it's whenever the square player runs into the pillar that Rune's positioning then has to be plus 600 meters for it to trigger Deadeye. So because of this, what happens is whenever Gunner has Banish and Pillars, specifically Gunner's secondary, Gunner is able to, you see Zenith gets hit by the black hole there. Whenever Gunner places his primary, then TPs away, he now exceeds 600 meters, and that it exceeds like the Deadeye threshold, so that now the pillars get the 35% damage bonus, which procs Deadeye, and we see Gunner getting like an instant like early KO here. Now, this didn't play too much of a factor until later in the reverse sweep. There was a lot of banishes that Gunner was not able to convert to a kill, and it ended up being more of a waste of an ability. But in game one, Geek played unreal. Geek honestly had some of the best like ability usage I'd ever seen from a Kai goalie ever. Just his awareness, how he was dissecting the defense from Best Western, and then how he was like being very careful to time his abilities. So here, this Giga Blast, like perfectly timed, and to use this from such range and have it that well timed is like so difficult. So that keeps the core in play. And then after Schneider loses this strike war, it's the gun or Schneider's lasso, and then Gunner replaces the lasso with the pillar that just keeps the core in possession. And they're not able to convert, but this is just like a really good example of how like Geek's abilities really just played a factor in like enabling offense. And then as we continue, what happened a lot early, and remember this ended up being a reverse sweep. You see, Geek was able to just hold it down, and Gunner played a pretty solid like mid range, basically staying within this area. And Gunner and Geek would work together to just find a clear and then pitch that clear out to Schneider and have Schneider take like a 1v1 opportunity against the goalie. So Gunner's getting the banish there that we have seen time and time again. And then if that pass did go up to Schneider, that would have been a potential goal scoring opportunity. So Geek walks back, gets a really nice strike shot, and then to pass the core back to Schneider. And then this Giga Blast, potentially a little bit of luck, either way, well timed ability, hit the most demonist angle, hitting the curve, and then a simple like Gunner redirect shot placement bottom corner. But like Geek, just this entire game one was holding down on defense and then having insanely well accurate abilities and clears. Like, look at this. Can't clear here to Gunner, cannot clear to the bottom corner because of a stall blink. The only clear is up, and Geek just found it every single time. We watch this in slow mo. Just the amount of like awareness that Geek had to see these clears, see the lasso, and then see Zenith and predict the like. I don't even know how to describe it. At the pace that this was happening at overtime, the entire game, Geek just handled all of the pressure, found every clear with like perfect tempo, and was able to continuously give his forwards possession. And that's what ended up like enabling the reverse sweep. Is Geek gave his forwards enough time really to figure out what needed to happen, what adjustments needed to be made to win the game. And then as we go into the second match, both teams showed really good signs of life. There was super competitive both sides. Ultimately, though, I felt like the second match ended up coming down to whichever team won the neutral HP advantage. With the change made to Juliet's ultimate, once you're staggered, it's almost a guaranteed kill confirm if a Juliet has their ultimate. And so, like, this combo, I felt like was worth pointing out. The ultimate didn't really play any relevance there. We're just talking about the matchup as a whole. Look at the Geek Giga Blast here. This Giga Blast is what was enabled like the double kill right here because Schneider gets his first one, but the Giga Blast is what actually like put the nail in the coffin for the Drakkar and secured that goal. But as like the match went on, the real hero for Best Western, in my opinion, was Wallaby. Watch how Wallaby manipulates the possession in these like next two clips to give himself advantageous 1v1s versus Geek. So right here, we have the clear going towards like Zenith, and Zenith denying the possession from Schneider, and then forcing the strike war. And whenever you have this position where Zenith is on ball, pushing it through the midfielder, this midfielder is being boxed in because of Wallaby's position. So you have Wallaby denying the down clear, while Zenith is also boxed in here. And this enables a dash punch from Wallaby. And so that's where we see Gunner elusive. But then as Gunner like goes for the strike, and it's ultimately a mistake, but it's just a hard mistake to avoid making because you're required to try to strike war versus Zenith there. But Wallaby has good foresight, makes the read, gets the clear there. And then here is position on Geek, because all the Zenith and Breads have to do is win the core through the Juliet, and Wallaby's job is to put it through. So a decent shot attempt there, but as Breads commits over the midfield line, passing to Zenith, Zenith passes down to Wallaby, and they work together to secure that kill and maintain their main advantage. And then Wallaby reacts to the Giga Blast, keeps it above, and denies the Giga Blast clear. Back steps here to win the Strike War versus Gunner. So we see Wallaby back steps for like 1 frame just to manipulate his strike hitbox to win the 50, and is able to dash into position and win that goal on Geek. And then the last clip we have is just more Wallaby, like insane awareness, really, where Schneider has no elusive, so at early ultimate into dash punch gets him staggered and near the edge, now without an elusive. And then we see at the same time they stagger Gunner and are able to secure that first KO. And then watch Wallaby here. He has an option to pitch the core down, but if Geek has Strike Shot or Barrage or even Giga Blast, Geek will be able to secure this clear. Instead, what Wallaby does is pass back the core to Zenith, so Zenith can then funnel Wallaby into this corner, and they maintain possession and then give Breads the freedom to pursue a KO on Schneider, not LLJSS. And then because of that funnel, they will secure that first gate. We see the same thing happen again here, where Wallaby has the core rotated to Zenith, and then Wallaby walks up, and then it's just an easy feed to Wallaby Gangsta to put the nail in the coffin and secure the second game.
All right, thank you again, Yoki, as usual, for the insights. And we are heading to a bit of a birthday brawl. The casters will tell you all about it coming up in just a second.